Life Unrehearsed on CJAD 800. Brought to you by Marco Vendramini of IG Private Wealth Management. MarcoVendramini.com.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Life Unrehearsed, a show about the ins and outs of family life. So your life isn't going exactly as planned? Well, you're not alone, and we're here to help out. My name is Matt Delvecchio, specializing in free retirement home search and senior transition support.
And I'm Corey Sirota, clinical social worker and psychotherapist, specializing in grief and loss.
Coming right up on the first half of today's show, it's RRSP season, and you're concerned what to do with your finances and, even better, your overall wealth management. During these volatile times, Corey, as you know, we have in studio a financial expert, Marco Vendramini, that will be telling us all about it for some helpful words of advice. Speaking of RSPs being the season, Corey, I'm sure you've maxed out all your RSPs and you're ready to go, huh?
I wish I could say I maxed out all my RSPs. First, I really need to understand what RSPs are, but we're going to talk about that with Marco. Thank God he's in the studio with us. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge, and we're looking forward to having him. What do we have on the second half?
Well, on the second half of the show, love is in the air and love is in the studio. We have newlyweds Katya and Adriano and Steve and Gail Webster, who are married 51 years. And they're all in the studio to help us remind us how to keep our love alive, especially with Valentine's Day coming up. When better.
It's approaching quickly, and we thought, hey, you know what? Let's get the newlyweds and someone that's been around the block, been married 51 years. We're going to pose very similar questions and can't wait to hear their answers. So that's coming up after the 4:30 news. So let's get started, Corey. Very often, especially this time of year, I often hear, and even for myself personally, what do we do with our investments during these volatile times? The markets are up and down. Now there seems to be a trend away from RRSPs, more TFSAs. What do they even stand for, like you're saying, Corey? Mm-hmm. Which is best to do? Should I invest or pay down debt? What about insurance? There's just a lot of questions. It can get very confusing, and that's why we're going to turn it over to our financial expert, Marco Vendramini from IG Private Wealth Management. Marco, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here on the show. And as I mentioned, markets have been volatile over the last few months. What should an investor be doing in these crazy times?
I think it's important. When markets go up, investors rarely ask questions because they look at their statements and everything is fine and they file them away and it's all good.
But you're heroes now.
Yeah. Well, you're either a hero or a zero. That's how I see it. But I don't want to be either one. I just want to try to educate my clients as best as I can. The fact of the matter is, when people get their statements like they did recently, and markets were badly hurt, especially in the last quarter and December more specifically. It brings a sense of uneasiness to a lot of people, especially if you're retired, especially if you were thinking of making that RSP contribution or TFSA contribution. And I think that our role as financial advisors, it's very easy to say, well, here are the 3 steps that you should do in order to, recover the money that you did and so on. But I think the first thing that our role is to listen to people, because everybody's different. Everybody has fears about, will I recover the money? Am I going to lose all my money? So I think our first role is to listen to people and to find out, are you okay with what's happened? Obviously, nobody's okay with it because nobody likes seeing their statement go down. But you need to ask a lot of questions. And most of my clients are retired. And there's 2 things that you worry about when you're retired. One of them is your health. You worry about your health, and you worry about running out of money. So when you have a portfolio that you see that goes down like that, you say, well, am I going to run out of money? Because the last thing I want to do is to move back with the kids, right? So, yeah.
So I'm listening to this, and I have to tell you, when I was looking at the questions, I started to sweat. And I started to sweat because I realized, and I'm going to be humble here and somewhat embarrassed, but self-disclosure, I didn't understand a lot of what I was supposed to be asking you.
Right.
And so I wondered how many people out there, I'm going to be honest, specifically women, are that ignorant, and how important is it for us to understand what it is you're talking about.
Marco, just before that, because Corey, you brought this up, most people know, listening regulars, we drive in together, and you brought this up. I think it's such a valid point. As you know, in my world, I get a lot of situations where women are outlasting men, and as you age, all of a sudden, maybe the man was the financial person, and now you're kind of on an island on your own. So I think it's a very valid question, Corey. I think there's a lot of people worried, particularly women, about getting better control over their finances.
Help us out.
Right. Well, we live busy lives, right? We have our own careers and we have kids, and the way that we kind of manage our lives is, okay, you take care of this and I'll take care of that, and so on and so forth. And I see a lot of that. And I've seen, like you said, Matt, women are outlasting their husbands, and it's just, an actuarial thing. Women live longer than men. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I need to see both people at a meeting at least once a year. I mean, I can understand that maybe during the year I may talk to one of the two spouses and so on, but I mean, husband and wife or couple, they both have to be there, because I want to ask questions about each other's objectives. I don't want to ask maybe just the husband, what are your objectives with your wife and so on. I want to have that conversation with the spouse as well. And I would tell you that most men do not really know 100% what the objectives of their spouse is. They'll just plainly say, matter of fact, well, I met my financial advisor today. We did the RSPs and so on, and they just, give you the situation. But I think the planning that we try to do with our clients brings that conversation with husband and wife, and it becomes very important. And you don't want to have that conversation every 3 months, but I think that annual meeting once a year to sit down and to kind of understand is important. And again, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo in our world, and what I think the financial advisor who does a good job will take this mumbo jumbo and make it sound really, okay, I understand what you're talking about.
I would call that demystifying. That's Marco
Right.
Vendramini from IG Wealth Management, and he is sharing some very important advice for me. I guess other people are hearing it too, but I'm hearing it and hearing it loud and clear that really, I think there's a fear in many people who don't understand it. But if you are telling me you will take people and walk them through it, because it's so important that they understand it. Because again, as I'm learning, as I'm going, it's much more than just investments and good tax returns. It's also it also involves many other aspects in wealth management. What are some of the other aspects? Well,
first of all, you're concerned about your own retirement. I mean, you're concerned about, your kids and so on and so forth, and what you're going to leave to the kids. And so there's all that, right? There's what we're going to leave to the kids. It's what are we going to retire on? It's, and you may not think about the taxes that you're paying, but how can I say this? The conversation that we have with our clients, and coming back to what you were telling me, once you meet with your financial advisor, you need to, when that advisor leaves, you need to have that conversation with your husband saying, you know what, about the kids and so on, this is how I see it and so on. And there's great conversations that we have with our clients after we have those meetings. But, yeah, I totally hear you. I mean, you need to meet your advisor at least once a year, Corey.
I think that's one of your biggest assets, Marco, and we are talking with Marco Vendramini, financial expert with IG Wealth Management, because you challenge, I am a client, and you challenge me. It's not just about investments, it's the whole family. Are you getting the proper insurance, proper estate sale? Now, it's approaching traffic time, Marco, but, financial advisors, this is a key issue in the industry. They're retiring faster than ever, right. And they can't be replaced fast enough. Add this to the fact that the next 20 years will see the biggest transfer of wealth from one generation to the next. Big issue. Mm-hmm. So what should an investor be doing now to deal with proper succession? So we're going to hear back from you, but let's first head to the CJAD Traffic Center with Lauren Glazer.
Live Fund Rehearsed on CJAD 800. Brought to you by Marco Vendramini of IG Private Wealth Management. MarcoVendramini.com.
Welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. I'm Corey Sirota with my co-host Matt Del Vecchio, and we are talking about financial situations, particularly financial. We're getting great financial advice from IG Wealth Management expert Marco Vendramini. Right before we went out to traffic, Matt kind of posed this very interesting fact that apparently financial advisors are retiring faster than they can be replaced. And so this could be a potentially really challenging issue. Marco, what do you suggest that investors do now to deal with this reality?
Well, first of all, the one thing that people hate is change. And a lot of planners out there who are in their late 50s, 60s, and 65 have told their clients that they're going to be there forever. And in many situations, it's just a big lie because eventually they do retire. And what I want to do, or what I have as a financial planning practice, I've started hiring younger people because I want to be there for my clients forever, but through the younger people that I'm going to hire and so on. And it's very people get very rattled by seeing their planner that they've had for 15, 20 years retire, and then they're just, transferred to somebody. What I'm basically saying is that planners have to think more about how they're going to leave. They just can't leave, shut the door, and there's got to be some type of transition that they have to do, because at the end of the day, their clients have depended on them for 10, 15, 20 years. They're still retired. They need that great advice and so on. And I think we have to think about doing a better job of that. My solution, my own personal solution is, I've accumulated 28 years of knowledge, and I want to transfer that knowledge to younger people on my team. And I want that to continue, with the parents, the people who have my own age, and the kids as well, because kids are coming into the world. They're between the ages of 20 to 35, and they're newly married, and they need advice on what mortgage should I buy, and so on and so forth. So my goal, or my idea of the intergenerational practice that I'm building right now, is to being able to cater to all of those people.
That's Marco Vendramini, financial expert from IG Wealth Management. Marco, I think it's such a crucial point you're bringing up, and good on you bringing in the younger generation. They could also talk the same language. They have different challenges than someone in their 50s, 60s, 80s, 90s.
Right.
So very smart, because succession is going to be an industry-wide issue in the financial planning industry. Now, Marco, we're not going to get into which stock should I buy, what RSP. It's
right.
I think the bigger question, and you are so good at this, is that a lot of your clients and everyone, the name of our show is Life Unrehearsed. Right. And there are many life unrehearsed issues that come up throughout a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And you're a big proponent that the better financial advisors, wealth planners, can deal effectively with these life unrehearsed events. A death of a spouse. You're moving, you're downsizing from a home, you're going into retirement. There are many, many life unrehearsed events. So tell us how, what should good financial advisors be doing when it comes to these events? Well,
most of the relationships that I have with my clients have been, through 10, 15, 20 year of relationships, and you get to know people. I mean, yes, they are your clients, but you get to know them, their spouses, their kids, the family, and sometimes somebody dies, right? A spouse can die, and the real work that I feel like, a lot of people say, well, you're all the same. I don't agree with that. I think the difference is what happens when there is a spouse that dies, and how do you help that person settle the estate and be there for that person in this transition that is so difficult. Another transition can be eventually selling off your home and going in a retirement home, which is such a difficult thing, not only for the person who is selling the home, but for the kids who don't know how to communicate that to the parents and so on. Somebody losing a job. You lose a job, what do you do? And what are the financial consequences? A divorce or a separation, having a handicapped child, having that child arriving to age 18 or 21 when there are less resources and so on. So I think what I've done with the people who have been so great to giving me their trust and confidence and so on is I've tried to give them the type of care and financial advice that I would have wanted. I mean, I don't want to do business with a robot. I want to do business with a human being.
So it's more about the relationship.
100%. The human relationship.
Incredible. True or false? Do I need a lot of money to have a wealth planner?
False.
How come?
Yeah, I mean, listen, as soon as you can start saving money, there are ways that, I can teach you on how to invest your money, on how to save taxes and so on. I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you have. We talk about robo-advisors and so on. I would challenge anybody who does business with a robo-advisor, and I could take that same young couple today with me. I can guarantee you they will have a lot more money with me than if they listen to a robot. Because let me tell you something, when markets are volatile and things are tough, robots don't know how to talk to people.
The emotion just isn't there.
Yeah.
It isn't. Well, Marco, already have time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Very helpful advice as usual. That's Marco Vendramini from IG Wealth Management. How can people get a hold of you, Marco?
Either on the website, marcovendramini.com. That's MarcoVendramini.com. A very simple 2 words to spell. Or phone number 450-227-9750. And Melanie will be very happy to answer the phone and we'll help you. We'll meet with you. We'll listen to you. We'll ask you a lot of questions and hopefully we can help you get from point A to point B and bring some wealth to you and so on.
I have no doubt that you will. Thank you so much. Coming up after the news, love is in the air. Whether you're a newlywed or married for 50 years, how do you keep that spark alive?